were just having a conversation, Mr. Mondi, about the current situation at Eskom and the plans that it's come up with to try and mitigate the situation. It's announced today that from midnight, the load shedding will be reduced to stage 5. Your thoughts on that, given the constant breakdowns that we've seen come about for over a week now?
Good evening, Rofhiwa, and
it would appear you have been muted. If you could just unmute yourself, Mr. Mondi, if you could still hear me. There we go. Yes.
I can.
Yes, please go ahead.
I was saying that we welcome this reduction in terms of stage 6 to stage 5. It is not that significant, but it is a step in the right direction. So in that sense, it is a most welcome change. However, the real challenges with the Eskom fleet is really its unpredictability. So it may drop today, and then tomorrow something else happens, and then we're back to stage 6. So I think that's where the problem is the predictability and the reliability of that system. But certainly the current drop is most welcome.
Yes, and of course it's a welcome one for businesses like in the manufacturing and agricultural sector, Mr. Mondi. You saw the last GDP print indicating that these huge sectors that are supposed to be contributing the bulk to a GDP growth in South Africa were hard hit, a lot of it due to the blackouts. It's important for us to understand that the manufacturing sector is almost like a bedrock to the economy, and whatever stage of load shedding is implemented hurts important sectors like this one.
That's so true. As you say, the impact on the large power users is that it affects really their core business. There is nothing else to do without energy. When you consider some of our members, I mean, they consume up to, or rather their costs of electricity are all the way up to 40% of the total cost. So you can imagine when you have got a disruption in that supply, it just affects the whole, production in the short term, but it also has consequences for medium and long term in terms of the economic performance of the sector.
Now, Eskom making it official today, the announcement that they made yesterday during the briefing, Mr. Mondi, that it will be going out to procure generation capacity from IPPs and industrials like Sasol, SAPI and the like. You've welcomed that decision, but as someone who represents big members within your organization, does that generation capacity exist, and is there an opportunity for Eskom to perhaps procure more than 1,000 gigawatts that they're looking for?
Based on what Eskom is working on, yes, it is possible to get that 1,000, and there could be slightly more that is available, and they are also considering that. So this is really the first tranche in terms of what can be sourced. As well, I think they have tried to really incentivize it this time, because it's not really the first time they go to the standard offer. Now, when you look at the pricing, it's really has two different pricing points. First being the standard offer, where you have got a static price. That has always been the norm. Now they are also introducing what they call dynamic pricing, which allows people to bid for energy a day ahead, depending on what they think they can make on the system versus their own costs. So it is a very innovative way of encouraging this production of extra energy. But also they've got what they call emergency procurement at this time, where basically it's almost opening up a market for the next 3 years for anyone who wants to bid for these energies. So we are quite hopeful that they may be able to incentivize enough interested parties to join the fray.
Mr. Mondi, let me get your thoughts on the idea that Eskom should perhaps institute a permanent stage 2 load shedding, especially when it comes to issues of planned maintenance. That way, everybody in the country is aware that there will be this level of stage load shedding, and then we don't face the fluctuating disruptions that we have had for over a week now. Now, I think Eskom has indicated that they've thought about it and it's not something that they would do. But do you think that it might be one of the sustainable solutions that we could perhaps look at?
I think from an industry point of view, there is no consensus on that question. But yes, it is a topical issue to say if we go that route, you basically take the pain, let's say, for the next 2 years, and then you get everything back in order. But the problem is that for those who argue against it, is to say, is there any guarantee that the system will be better after 2 years? So I think that's where the risk is, because you have to say that, okay, I made this sacrifice and this is the gain I'm expecting. But if it happens that after 2 years you are still back in the same spot, that's where the challenge is. But I think it's still an industry discussion. There is no consensus on how to proceed on that one.
Mr. Fanele Mondi, thank you very much for your time this evening, the CEO at the Energy Intensive Users Group of Southern Africa.